Okay, my dear friends, so welcome back to all of you to our YouTube channel, that is Study Material. So as we were continuing with the series of Indian polity, and we have discussed about the historical background of the constitution. Now let's move to the present day's constitution of India. So, to begin with this topic, first we need to understand what are the salient features of the constitution. So, our constitution, the important salient features of the constitution are listed below. So, one by one, I will be discussing about all of them. So, there will maybe a few points which you like to note it down. So, you can note it down in your notes because these are very much of important as per the examination point of view. So, before we begin the first topic, let me tell you a brief about the Constitution. That our Constitution was completed on 26th November 1949, although it was enacted on 26th Jan 1950, and it took 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days. 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to complete the Constitution. So this is a data, means it's not asked in exam, just for the understanding I am just delivering this information. So now let's begin with the very first topic, that is it is the lengthiest written constitution. Now what does this mean? It means the number of article, all the schedule, that it is subdivided. It is the lengthiest among all the countries whichever have a written constitution. So when it was completed in 1949, at that particular of time, it had 395 article, which was let me write it down here so that you can note it. So in 1949, when our constitution was completed, it was having 395 articles, 22 parts, and 8 schedules. 8 schedules. So this was the distribution of the article in the year 1949, when our first time our constitution was ready. But gradually there have been changes in the periodically there have been many changes in our constitution, and right now all this scenario is completely changed. So when I consider in the present scenario, right now it is having let me write it down, 2020. So right now it is having 465 article, and the part has increased to 25, and the schedule has increased to 12. So this is the thing, this might be asked in the examination, although it is not so frequently asked in the examination. So that's all about the first point, that is it is the lengthiest constitution. Now let's move to the second part. Let me take it down so that it could be easier for you all. Now, so the second point is that there is a blend of rigidity and flexibility. What does this mean? So our constitution was designed in such a format that there are some scope of flexibility, that is if the constitution or any of the amendment needs to be done, so it could be done easily. But on the same hand, there is a blend of rigidity. What does this mean? That all the thing, any of the basic structure could not be changed easily. So there are few of the things which could be changed easily, and that comes under the flexibility. For example, formation of a state, it could be done by a simple majority, and if their area or the territories of a region needs to be increased or decreased as per the nation interest, it could be done easily. So that comes under the flexibility. So flexibility just mean that if in the constitution you are able to change the things easily, it comes that it is flexible. So when it comes to be flexible, when if any law or any of the rule that is prevailing right now, it changed with the simple majority, then we could say that it is a flexible Now, what does this mean, simple majority or the special majority? That we will discuss in the subsequent lessons to come, and we have to discuss this topic in quite detail. So there might be few of the term that I would be speaking, which right now I haven't discussed, so it will come in the subsequent lessons and it will come with a great detail. Now, simple majority and the blend of rigidity. But if someone has to make the fundamental or the basic structure, if they want to change it, then that is quite tough to change, because for that you need a special majority. Special majority. So as I am speaking here about the simple majority and the special majority, so let me give a brief about what are this majority. So if there 50%, 50 plus 1% of member have agreed to this any of the rule, then it is known as the simple majority. So the issues, there are some of the issues which could easily be changed with the 50 plus 1 majority, that is comes under the simple majority. Now, special majority. In the special majority, you need the 2/3 of the seats or the 2/3 of the voting in the parliament, and along with the 50% of the states should agree with that decision or with that bill or with that rule. So that comes under the special majority. So our constitution give a blend of both, that is the rigidity and also the flexibility. So yeah, so this topic is also finished. Now let's move to our next topic, that is the parliamentary government. So India is following a parliamentary system of government at both the central level as well as the state level. So now in the parliamentary government, so what are the wings that come? So there are the 3 wings in the parliamentary form of government. That is the lower house, which is also known as Lok Sabha, upper house, which is also known as Rajya Sabha. I am just here mentioning all the topic in quite brief, so one by one we were discussing it. We will discuss it in the further topics. And the third one is the President of India. So all these 3 are the wings of the parliamentary form of government. All these 3 form the parliament. Okay, so this is all about this topic. Now let's move to the next one, that independent judiciary. So what does this mean, the independent judiciary? It just means that if any of the people of any of the citizen of India feels that their fundamental right are violated, or the constitution, the law that is mentioned in the constitution is not getting fulfilled, or they are getting deprived of the rules and the regulation or the fundamental of the constitution, so they can approach to the Supreme Court or the High Court. So there is an independent judiciary that just to work on the basis of our constitution, and the judiciary is divided into the different levels. For example, no one can directly approach to the Supreme Court. First of all, the case need to be heard in the High Court, and then if they do not feel satisfied, then they can move toward the Supreme Court. And these 2 bodies are completely independent. The government do not have any right to put a pressure on him to take the decision in a particular direction. So they are the completely independent, and this is very much important point or the feature of the constitution, because just making the constitution is one thing, and it needs to be implemented in a fair manner. So that is governed by the judiciary, that it is getting implemented in a fair manner, and every citizen of India are getting benefited equally and are treated equally. So that is all about this independent judiciary. Now let's move to the next topic, that is the federal system with unitary features. Now what does the federal system mean? Federal system means the Federal system means there is a distribution of power between the state, central, all the lower level government. And unitary feature just means the power is mostly in the hand of the center. So in order to discuss this, let me tell you some of the features of the constitution that will tell you that yeah, India is a federal system. The India follows the federal system, and there are some of the features which will be telling you that India also follows the unitary features. So what are the topic that comes under the federal system? So as we know that there are the two government, that is at the center and the state. It tells that in India there is a federal system. And apart from this, the division of power is given. There are particular type of list which comes under the hand of center. There are some lists which come under the hand of state, or there are some concurrent lists. So it just tells that there is also a division of power. So it could be said that it is a federal system. And now, how one can say that it is also a unitary feature? So there is a strong center. The power mostly lie in the hand of center, and the part or the piece of power is given to the state. So it could also be said that India has a unitary features. Besides, there is a single constitution and single citizenship. What does the single citizenship means? That there is only one citizenship, that is the citizenship of India. We do not have a dual citizenship, that is you have to make identity proof for your state that you are the citizenship of this state and also the citizenship of India. In the USA, the dual citizenship exists, but in India the single citizenship exists. So it clearly tells that India has both type of system, that is a federal system with unitary features. Yeah, so that's all about this. Okay, so now let's move to the next topic, that is the secular state. You might would have heard in the news channel or in the TV debate the secular word that is quite oftenly used by our TV media. So what does this mean, secular? The secular means that the people of India are given a right to follow their religion without any restriction. India is a secular state. It means that any of the religious people could live here. They can practice their religion and also spread their religion. The Constitution of India gives the right to every religion. Yeah, so now let's move to the next topic, that is the universal adult franchise. So what does this mean? This means that every citizen of the India above 18 have a right to vote. Earlier, it was, when the constitution was made, it was made 21 years as the age for voting. But in the amendment of 1988, it was made that the person, if he is of the year 18, then he could vote in the election, and it was made in the amendment 1988. So what does this tells? It tells that any person who is of the age 18 can give a vote in the general election, irrespective of their caste, sex, religion. They are allowed to vote. Now let's move to the last topic, and this is very much of important: emergency provision. So in this, the center become more powerful. As we know that India is a federal system, that is the power is distributed, that is decentralization of power. But during the case of emergency, during the scenario of emergency, the power get concentrated in the hand of center. The state becomes powerless. So this is known as the emergency provision. So the provision for the emergency is also mentioned in our Constitution of India. In the great detail, we need to study this emergency, when it was imposed in India, what are the different type of emergency, and what was the reason of imposing of the emergency, or if in the future the emergency needs to be imposed, so what should be the criteria. So these are things we will read in the subsequent lessons to come. So that's all for the today's discussion, and with this we come to end of this topic. And yeah, so if you liked our video, the content of the video, please do like it, share with your friends, and subscribe the channel. And if you have any doubt, query or questions, please put it down in the comment section. Thank you.